All right, on this episode of the Fit Rockstar Show, we have with us top Olympian. She is just truly the all-American superstar girl, women's physique competitor, Brooke Walker.
Woo! Hello, hello.
Look at you, man. I feel so bad now that I'm all covered up. You look great.
Oh my gosh, you look amazing.
Are you
You
competing like now? Because you're in excellent shape.
No, I'm so excited that I get to take this year to kind of rest and recover and have a true off season. I feel like I've always been so concerned with getting my Olympia ticket that not that I haven't been focused on Olympia, because I have, but I've never been able to have a true specific off season. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to do that this go around. And I'm so fortunate to already have that qualification, but I do think I'll probably jump into a show prior to the Olympia.
Yeah, I was curious. I was really curious to ask you that because some don't and then some do. So it's kind of an iffy thing because some people feel like, okay, you already qualified for Olympia. Why even bother to compete in another show? You don't need to.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And I completely agree with that, but I guess my take is if I'm going to have any sort of like jitters or issues, I'd rather get them out of the way prior to the Olympia. I don't want to get to the Olympia and mess up on something and kind of like kick myself in the butt, where I could have, at that point, it'll be a year since I've stepped on stage. So I think I would probably want to get any nerves out, get them out of the way prior to the Olympia. That way, once I go to the Olympia, I'll be.
Can we make a prediction? Can we make a prediction and say you're going to be doing the Phoenix UBU show again?
So that show was amazing, but they don't have women's physique in that pro women's physique this year. But I've been thinking about doing Legions or potentially, the Wings of Strength Phoenix.
Well, show. Of course, me being an employee of Wings of Strength, I'm going to say Wings of Strength.
Right? Yes.
Both are great shows. Legions Fest is amazing, but you don't have to tell us actually which show you're going to do. It would be nice to see you in a show before the Olympia for sure. Because I agree with you. I think it's good to do a warm-up show, and then you can kind of see like, okay, this is what I need to tweak and work on. But listen, any show you do now, you're going to win. I mean, you're going to step in there and you're going to spank their asses,
That's exactly my mentality. I'm like, I'm just going to manifest it. And I'm kind of like a superstitious person. So I got my Olympia ticket in Phoenix, and I'm like, I might not be doing the same show, but I feel like Phoenix might be a good spot for me to get my feet wet again before I step on the Olympia stage.
So we'll go into the whole Olympia thing because that was huge for you, but I want to go backtrack a little bit. So tell me, I know you've had how many second place finishes have you had?
Oh my gosh, I have finished second place so many times. Even prior to turning pro, I would miss my pro card numerous times by getting second place. It's crazy, and it's funny at this point, so I just kind of have to laugh about it, But in 2015, I finished at Junior USA's going for my pro card, and I got maybe a little cocky, so there's one girl that I thought could have potentially beat me, and so we're on stage for finals, they're giving out awards, and they call the girl that I thought was going to beat me. They called her out for third place, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I just turned pro. In my head, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
Right.
And then they call me for second place, and I'm like, you deserve that. You just kicked yourself in the butt, but at this point, I'm very grateful for it. Not to say that it hasn't been frustrating at times. It definitely has, but I think it set me up for success going into the Olympia. Because obviously the times that I finished in second place, I thought my physique was good, maybe good enough to be on the Olympia stage, but not good enough to necessarily be competitive where I wanted to be, if that makes sense.
Sure,
so it served a purpose, and I'm grateful for it. And, I think finishing in second place maybe kind of helped me a lot of times too, because it intrigued people. A lot of people were kind of like, I was almost labeled as people's champ because people kind of like the way I look. And there's people obviously that have conflicting views on where I should have placed, but it worked.
Wait a minute. What does that mean? Conflicting views? Like they think you should have placed lower, or you should have actually just won?
One, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which, you know, obviously.
Because I'm on that end of it too. Yes. I think you should have won. Yes.
Yes. There's several people that thought that, you know, which obviously in the bodybuilding world, I think as competitors, people can finish in placements that they thought that they could have done better or, you know, could have done worse, whatever the case may be. But I am grateful for it. And I hope that I win much more than I lose.
Well, listen, I'm going to throw this out there, and you know, I keep it real. I like to say, I like to call it as I see it. Okay, so you are someone that everybody looks up to because you're a very positive ray of sunshine, and you're so kind to everybody. Like you appreciate everybody, you know, and you also work in the industry as well. So you understand not only as the athlete side, but also from the background of what, you know, it takes to do, you know, put on the shows and compete and all that stuff. But anyway, I truly see you as a Miss Physique Olympia, if I can say that. I really do. I think that you can give, and I love Sarah and I like Natalia, I think you can give them both a run for the money. Because you just have that great look, just the lines, everything just flows so well. And you're like that, again, that all-American next-door girl. It's like, hey, and you just, you know, that's my prediction. I think that you could be a Miss Physique Olympia. And, you know, top 3, I mean, how many people can say they did that in their first Olympia show, right?
Not a lot.
No. But tell me, though, you won the Phoenix, and, you know, I know you're probably thinking, oh, I'm going to get second place in Phoenix. There's that possibility, right? What would you have done if that had happened?
You know, there was a lot of pressure for me going into Phoenix because just exactly like you said, I had this mindset that what happens if I do finish at second? You know, at that point I had already competed earlier in the year and I wanted the Olympia so bad. I just wanted to make it there, you know, and not to say that I didn't want to do well. I obviously wanted to place well at the Olympia, but I just wanted to make it there because I felt like my physique was deserving to be on that stage. And I just felt like I hadn't had the opportunity to make it that far for whatever reason. So I was stressed. It was so stressed at the Phoenix show. I enjoyed every moment of it. But if you would have saw me on stage, Bob was our MC. And whenever he's announcing, like, you know, the placements, all I was saying when it got to second place is literally, I was saying over and over again, please don't say Brooke Walker. Please don't say Brooke Walker.
Did he do, like, so when did he tease, did he let it go, like, for a little bit there with the who's got second?
Yes.
I figured.
And you know how he is. It's like he just like kind of builds that suspense, you know, which I love. But I'm like, oh my gosh, just rip the Band-Aid off. Tell me if I got second or let me know if I got my O ticket, you know.
Rip the Band-Aid off. I like that.
I'm like, let's get this done. But I think at that point, I knew that I was at my best. So let's say I had gotten second, I would have probably just rolled right into another show. Because I think at that point, the Rising Phoenix was, I believe, the next show. Mm-hmm. And I think Rising Phoenix was the last qualifier of the year. Mm-hmm. So at that point, my mentality was just think of it as you're already in prep for the Olympia. So roll right into another show, focus on getting your qualification and just be done with it, you know? So I think I definitely would have continued on regardless, but I'm very grateful that I didn't have to do that. And I just could focus and devote all my energy to the Olympia itself.
And I'm so sorry again. We lost John Meadows, who's a legend in our sport.
Yes.
And he prepped you. You were under his wing. So,
yes. John, you know, and I still struggle. Like I still get really, really emotional about it. But, it was really, really challenging for me because I felt like John, he was a great person. He was just a great guy, genuine. And whenever I had originally reached out to John about coaching, I kind of had told him some of my concerns and he was just he was just real with me. And I felt like he legitimately cared about my life after competing, you know? So I think he kind of took me under his wing, and he wanted me to be successful for Brooke. He didn't want me to be successful because it was going to help John Meadows. You know, he wanted me to be successful because it's what I wanted, and he wanted to help me reach my goals and my dreams, you know? And I'm so grateful. You know, he passed away the night of Phoenix, of the UBU show. So it's crazy because it was a roller coaster. You know, I'm on this emotional high. I get off stage, and the first person I'm talking to is John. Wow. You know, and it's just amazing. I was so excited. And then at this point, the next day, I'm getting messages, is John okay? You know, and I'm so confused at that point. What's going on? What are people talking about? And I was actually flying back to Arkansas, and I am searching social media because I'm like, if something's wrong, surely it's all over social media. At that point, it was still very early on. And I didn't see anything. And so I sent a text to John asking, are you okay? And at that point, I got a phone call and realized very quickly that he wasn't.
People always ask how I got here. I was willing to work just a little harder than everyone else. Every damn day. If I can have hundreds of hours back, you know I'm gonna grab them. Spending hours prepping chicken, rice, and vegetables, F that. I rely on perfect nutrition. I rely on trifecta.
You know, but I'm very grateful for the opportunity that I had with John. It's just, I hate to sound selfish, but, you know, I was so upset because I'm like, I finally get this like qualification, and we meshed just so well. I just felt like he understood me. He knew my body. He knew the right things to say, the right things to do, all at the right moment. But I just focused on going into the Olympia and essentially staying on track for John. There's no way I was going to fall apart at that point.
You did a great job, though, girl. You came in there out of nowhere and took it. You know, yeah. I mean, your physique again is a beautiful structure. Everything about you the posing, everything just flows. It's incredible. Now, how much time do you spend on posing?
I love posing. I truly love it. I pose every day, in season or off season. You know, it doesn't matter to me. I'll set up my phone, I'll record myself, and I'm always looking at things on social media or YouTube videos of people posing and just seeing, you know, kind of some of their ideas. I'm not ashamed to say that, you know, like you look at some of the past greats and kind of look at their routines, because I mean, if it weren't for those individuals, bodybuilding wouldn't have evolved to what it is now, you know? So I'm truly grateful for everybody that was in the past and everybody that's still here and everybody that's going to remain here in the future within the bodybuilding community. But I look at posing routines all the time and just play around with it, see what looks good on me, see what doesn't look good on me. But I enjoy posing. I enjoy performing. I was a cheerleader growing up. So being on stage, I truly feel like I'm in my element, and I just enjoy it. I enjoy that aspect. And from the women's physique standpoint, you know, I still, like, I love performing, and I want to showcase to people that you can step on stage and have muscle and still be feminine and still be sexy and show off that beauty and grace on stage. So that is something that's so important to me. It will remain important to me for the rest of my career.
Do you think femininity is a very important key in, you know, being when you're on stage?
100%. I definitely believe that. Obviously, women with muscle, we get praised, and then sometimes we get criticized. And I think that's just kind of the name of the game. I think people are going to criticize whoever, regardless, you know, of what your dreams are, your goals, whatever. But I do think that in this sport, I think it's very, very important that it remains feminine, you know, and it's huge. I feel good whenever I feel like I look sexy, I look beautiful. I enjoy that, you know.
Can we define what we, you know, when I say femininity, I mean, like, you know, just, you know, again, the posing has a lot to do with it. One, the makeup, the hair, the suits, everything. I mean, But when we say femininity, what is your definition of that, like for the stage and stuff?
So I kind of look as femininity as a whole package. So not even just a standpoint from your physique. Obviously, I think that it is very important to have a muscular, well-balanced physique while still keeping some of your curves, things like that. But I think hair and makeup and posing and how you present yourself on stage is huge, right? You could have an amazing physique, but if somebody goes on stage and they kind of cut corners and maybe they do their hair and their makeup themselves, it kind of shows, it just doesn't look that good. And I think there's a huge difference between stage hair and makeup and just like everyday hair and makeup. Right. And I'll tell people that, especially if they're not familiar with bodybuilding and competing, or maybe they're just starting to compete and they're trying to not spend as much money. They think that they can do their hair and makeup on their own. I often will tell people not to do it, because it's something, another stressor that you have to worry about, but B, it's something that it's truly somebody that has talent in that area, that field. There's no way I would look like a clown if I stepped on stage because I did my own hair and makeup, but yeah, femininity is huge. And I also think whenever you're on stage in a women's division, how you pose is so important, because you could do a front double bicep and you can make it look masculine. I think some women obviously maybe pose a little bit more masculine than others. And just to be honest, that's not for me. I prefer kind of like add in that grace, that flow, that feminine kind of touch to it. So I'm still a woman and I still want to be portrayed as a woman,
I always, from the audience standpoint, when I'm in the audience, I yell out to people, smile, because one thing I see, they look so pissed off.
Yes. And that's the thing. I tell people that all the time. Adding a smile to your routine or your presentation completely changes the whole dynamic of how you look on stage. You may not be the best person on stage that day, but if you're on stage and you're smiling, to me, that gravitates me to that particular person on stage.
Absolutely.
If they're on stage and they just look like they're having the time of their life, that brings a smile to my face, and I enjoy that. And at the end of the day, we are putting on a show for the audience. So I want the audience to be intrigued or captivated by me on stage, or drawn to me in a positive way, of course. But yes, that's my goal in performing for them.
How did you get into women's physique? Did you compete in bodybuilding or did you just say, hey, I'm going to do women's physique one day? How did you get into it?
I have loved bodybuilding my entire life. For whatever reason, it's just intrigued me. And I remember being a kid and looking at Flex magazines and just loving all these physiques, like both men and women. It was just really, really interesting to me. And I grew up playing sports my entire life. Well, in 2012, I finally was like, I'm going to step on stage. I'm going to do it. So I picked the Ronnie Coleman Classic in March of 2012. And at that point, it was still fairly new to me. I competed in bikini, and
wow.
It's crazy. I had went to my first Arnold Classic in March of 2012 and just had the time of my life. And at that point, I was already prepping for the Ronnie Coleman later at the end of March. And the first time I stepped on stage, I knew it was for me. I had an amazing experience, and I got fifth. I got fifth at my first show. And to be honest, that didn't bother me. I wasn't necessarily upset with it. I was more just intrigued with the whole experience I had at the show. And from that point forward, I was like, I'm here to do this, and I competed in bikini for several shows and quickly realized that that was not the right division for me.
Right.
I loved it, but I just outgrew it,
Right.
And I decided I was going to go to figure. And I started prepping for figure.
Wow.
And I was like, you know what? I think women's physique is where I want to be. So to be honest, it was more of a performance aspect. I liked the idea of having an actual finals routine to perform for the audience.
Well, that's always a bonus, right?
Yes.
So you went from bikini to figure to women's physique.
Yes.
Very impressive.
Yeah. It's funny. Again, the Arnold Classic like has a lot to do with this, I swear, because I believe maybe in 2014, yes, 2014, I was at the Arnold Classic, and I believe Jose Raymond maybe won that year in the 212. Yeah. And so at the time, we were both affiliated with iHorse Nutrition. And Jose's like telling me, he's like, you're screwing yourself. You know, you don't need to be in bikini. And at that point I was like, well, I'm competing. I was like competing the next weekend. And so I'm like, I'm just going to finish out this prep, go in and do it. And I did. I finished off the show and didn't even place there, you know, but it's kind of.
Did you think about what he said when you didn't place?
Yes. Well, I knew it's like all of these things were happening at this show. All the expediters are calling. They're like, women's physique, you're up. And they're like trying to get me to line up for stage. I'm like, yeah, I'm in bikini.
Oh, gosh.
So at that point I knew, you know, but I'm always like the glass is half full, you know? So I had a great time, went on stage, did my thing, didn't place well. And after that I was like, well, I'm hanging up my heels, right? I'm done with bikini. So moving on.
So what was your first women's physique show?
I competed. I live in Arkansas, so I did the Arkansas State Championships in 2014. So I had competed in bikini in 2014. And as soon as I got done, I made the switch to physique and competed in 2014. I won the overall show there, and I went on to North Americans. And I obviously missed my pro card by one place, which is typical in Brooke fashion. That's the usual for me. And at that point, the following year in 2015, I did turn pro. Jose Raymond was my coach at that time. And I had gone and did a test run show in Boston, competed the following weekend in Charleston at Junior USA's, missed my pro card again by one place. And I pushed on for junior nationals, and I'm so grateful I did, because I won the overall junior nationals and was so relieved. I was like on my deathbed, but
on my deathbed. Well, listen, the one thing I am happy about at the Olympia, when you got third place, you didn't pass out. Because I know you're like, if I get top 5, I'm going to pass out. So thank you for not passing out.
You're welcome. You know, I was so excited because I kind of didn't know really where I was. There's a part of me that thought maybe I was going to be in that 4th place spot, and I didn't know. And again, it's like, I think every competitor always like imagines like Bob saying their names, right? You know, it's just like the Olympia, you know, he's the name, and it's that infamous Bob voice. So I'm sitting there and he calls Barbara for 4th. And I, at that point, was like, just on cloud 9. Like, that was one of the most amazing experiences of my entire life. And the only downfall I can tell you about that weekend is that it went by too quick. It was an incredible experience, and I'm so excited to do it again this year.
Well, the interesting thing is, as you know, top 3 qualify for the Olympia. So, there, you know, had it been 4th or 5th place, now it would have been like the 2nd place. You know, you had to re-qualify again. Could you only imagine? I mean.
So going into the Olympia, I'm thinking, you know, because just in years past, it was that top 5 re-qualified. So I'm going into the Olympia thinking, okay, top 5 will re-qualify. And I was so unbelievably grateful to see that top 3 re-qualified, because by the grace of God, I was still within that qualification, you know, and I'm just thinking, oh, praise you, Jesus. I'm so grateful for that, you know. And it wasn't necessarily that I didn't want to continue on to compete, but at that point, I knew I needed a break. My body needed a break. I spent all year last year dieting, which was good. I needed it because I progressively got better each show. But I definitely felt like if I could just qualify and put in some time and effort on the areas that I need to improve on, I just feel like I could bring just a much better package this go around.
So you have, again, we've talked about how incredible your physique is. I mean, look at your shoulders, your chest. Can we see some double biceps there?
Yeah.
Holy cow. Okay. All right. Making me
Put
feel
them
good.
away.
You look great. You look great.
Thank you.
Can you do a little bit of a muscle, what do you call it?
Yeah.
Yes. Wow, girl. You're looking phenomenal. So
Thank
you
you.
are a personal trainer, right?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
you do group exercise classes? Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
And these are like
Mhm.
intense classes, right? What
Yeah.
do you do exactly in the classes?
So I teach, well, I manage a gym here in Conway, Arkansas, and I do group exercise, I do personal training and boot camp classes.
Boot camp, that's it.
Yes, and I love them. I just love fitness, and I think it's really great to be supportive of our fellow trainers that we do have at 365 Fitness. So I teach my own group classes, but then I also go and I will participate in our other trainers and instructors classes there. And they kick my butt, I'm not gonna lie, but I enjoy it. And to be honest, I think a lot of our members there at the gym, they enjoy seeing me die, because I inflict pain on them. Yeah. So they're like, oh, it's good. You get a taste of your own medicine, but
I agree.
Yes. Yes. But I just enjoy fitness. So that's kind of how I've been my entire life. I've always gone and played sports and lifted.
What type of sports did you play?
So I ran track. I was a cheerleader. I played basketball, and I was a power lifter. I started powerlifting when I was 12 years old.
12 years old?
12 years old. Yes.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
That's great.
But it's amazing because that was, it kind of probably set the tone for the rest of my life, something I don't think that my coach at that time understood really what he was like, what door he was opening for me, because I just completely fell in love with it. And to this day, I truly enjoy weight training. And, I get frustrated if if I have to miss a workout or if my workout doesn't go according to plan. It's truly like therapeutic for me, even to this day.
I met a girl, she's a competitor in the sport of women's bodybuilding. And I was just talking to her a few days ago, and she says to me, I don't like working out. I said to her, why are you even competing?
Yeah,
why are you in this? Look, I can understand not liking cardio, but not liking to work out.
100%.
Yeah, it's just the most dumbest thing I ever heard. But anyway, I was just saying that because
it is.
You got to enjoy what you do.
Absolutely. Especially from a competitive standpoint, because most competitors are obviously not working out for overall health and wellness. It's where we have to push our bodies to an extreme, so we are training for hours. We're doing stupid amounts of cardio. We're dieting our butts off and posing. And there's times where you might not be going through the best experience of your life. You might be tired, exhausted. Your body gets to the point where you're just like in a constant state of being sore, but you have to enjoy it, because if you don't, why would you put yourself through it, So
I know you went through some hardships getting ready for some of these shows. So how did you keep that mindset? Like, I got to keep going. I got to keep pushing.
To be honest, that's just like the life I've always lived. I'm not saying that my life was terrible or traumatic, but I went through some things in life that I felt my childhood probably wasn't the most ideal. But I just was always, like I said previously, I've always been like, the glass is always half full. So I always try to take a positive approach to anything and everything that I'm doing. So, it's just, I always feel like even if I don't win, that's not necessarily failing. I think a lot of times people are so afraid to like lose, and they contribute that to failing, that they don't even allow themselves to get to that point where they may lose, because they're too afraid. So I've never had that, luckily, because I've gotten second place a lot more than I've gotten first, but it doesn't necessarily bother me, because at the end of the day, I'm going to continue to go on. So it's just like, oh, this is another hurdle. I'll get to that point when I'm ready for it. So, anytime that I've gotten to that point where I'm so close and I don't quite get there, I'm like, well, whenever you do get there, it's just going to be that much more satisfying. And that is so true. My Phoenix win was huge for me. It was so satisfying and rewarding. And the Olympia, obviously, I'm still on cloud nine from that weekend, So just keep going. And I've always told people that your 100% can kind of like vary day to day. So that's sometimes some days are better than others. And I just kind of tell myself, okay, well, today might have not been the best day, but tomorrow's will be better, you know? So I keep going. Slow and steady wins the race always.
I just love your positivity. The internet exploded when you won Phoenix. It exploded when you got the placing you did in the Olympia.
Yes.
There are you have so many fans around the world who absolutely adore you and love you just because of the person that you're so genuine. And just, again, that, you don't, at any show, you're not, like, some people can be, they're in their zone, but you actually take the time for, like, a fan or whoever, and that says a lot about you. So I applaud you for that, because it's difficult.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It is. And, I just always try. There's going to be a day, obviously, where I'm not going to be able to compete, and I will remember my trophies and my awards and my accomplishments, but I'm going to remember the memories more than anything. So I try to keep that in mind every show that I go to. So I truly try to like soak up every experience, whether it's like the athlete check-ins, the moment I get there, or just the camaraderie, the experiences backstage, or if there happens to be somebody that is a fan of mine, I will always, always, always do my best to talk to them, grab a photo, or do whatever I can, because that's what I'm going to remember in years down the road. That I promise you, all of those experiences. And even now, I think back at some of my placements and I remember those. But what I remember more is the experiences before and after that, So
you diet down, train hard, and supplement smart for months. When the time comes to step on stage, don't leave your tan to chance. Go with the pros. Pro Tan. #1 worldwide since 1987 and the official sponsor of the Olympia for the last 15 years. Don't step on stage without it. Pro Tan.
And the relationships that I've established because of competing, not necessarily because of my placement. It's because of the show, the experience, and I think those relationships will last a lot longer than my competitive career will.
Absolutely. So, we talked about the Arnold earlier, and we don't have women's physique. What is do you think we'll ever get that back?
I hope we do. I truly, to be honest, it's upsetting to me. I think that the Arnold and the Olympia are the two most elite shows as a pro. I think most pro athletes dream about stepping on both of those stages, and so to see, women's bodybuilding had been taken out, men's 212 had been taken out, and now women's physique has been taken out. It's kind of disheartening as a pro athlete. I think we all bust our butt to make it to that level. And then once we get to that level, it's like, here's something that's so close, but it's just like ripped from you. And I think as a competitor, it almost makes you feel like, are we not good enough to be on that stage?
Sure.
So it's hurtful, to be honest. It's kind of, something that's like, I work hard. Why shouldn't I be able to step on that stage? And I'm fortunate that I have been able to step on that stage before, and I'm grateful for that. But I think every pro athlete should have the opportunity to step on that stage. So I hope and I pray that they'll reconsider. And to be honest, I think that every pro division should be offered at the Arnold and the Olympia. So I hope that next year women's bodybuilding will be on that stage. I hope that men's 212 will be on that stage, and I hope that women's physique will be on that stage as well.
Yeah, I know that Sarah Villegas, our current Miss Fitness, I haven't had my coffee yet. Our current physique Olympia, I know she put out the petition, which got a lot of traction on there. But still, we got nothing. So I really do hope in the future, because I'm optimistic, I think it will be back. I really do, because women's bodybuilding, the women's physique and 212, look, like you said, we all work hard and we all deserve to be on that stage. I remember back in the day, you would have to put in a request to, get the invite. And then you're dieting and you don't know if you're going to be accepted or not. So you're on eggshells, and to me that was exciting, because it's like, okay, let's do this. We're going to get in, but things happen. I just hope it does come back. But with the Olympia coming up this year, what is your plan from now to the Olympia? What is, besides doing a show? Do you have any other things you're going to, I see you doing a lot of seminars, posing and things like that.
Yes.
So what else you got going on?
Yeah, I try to keep myself busy. I think idle minds kind of are like the devil's playground, you know.
Right.
And I'm a firm believer in that, and I do well whenever I'm busy. So the busier I am, I think the more successful I'll be. So I do try to kind of set myself up for success, and I do have several posing seminars that are coming up and that I have been a part of in, you know, years past and weeks past. But I'll also expedite shows for Jack and Ann to Tony, which I love doing. I enjoy it, and I've told people this all the time. I get nervous expediting shows. I get more nervous expediting shows than I do competing. It's the craziest thing. You know, I just think I want everybody to have a good experience, right. You know, and you see a lot of competitors, they're so nervous. It's their first show. They're overwhelmed. They don't know how to take it. And I remember being that way. I remember my first show and being overwhelmed, not even understanding what anything that was going on. I had no idea about anything. I had people leading me, expediters, staff members, you know, people that were there working the event, fellow competitors that were there helping me. So I just want every competitor to get a positive experience from competing. And here's the thing, the amateurs, the up and comers, those are going to be who kind of sets up the industry Correct. For success in the future. So I definitely don't ever want to put a bad taste in their mouth. So I always want them to have a good experience. So I do my best to make sure that they have that.
So, and speaking of that, I know my good friends Jack and Ann Tatone, you received an appreciation award. Can you tell me about that?
Yes. You know, Jack and Ann, they truly are just like family to me. And I feel like they have taken me under their wing and just helped me get through some just experiences in my life that, to be honest, I don't even know if that they're aware that they helped me get through them. They're just two great people, and it's kind of surreal to me because whenever I was kind of looking at competitors for inspiration, whenever I was younger, Ann was one of those, right. You know, Ann is, and sometimes I'm like, it's funny to see because I don't know if people know the sport. I'm like, do you know who she is? You know, Ann she's got just a very inspiring story. She's got a big, big heart. And I just am so, so grateful to be a part of everything that they have set for the future of bodybuilding, the current, you know, just a part of their organization. And they're two amazing people.
I thank them a lot because, listen, they have women's bodybuilding, you know?
Yes.
Of course, we have Wings of Strength, who has a lot of women's bodybuilding shows, but then you have these other promoters, and Jack and Ann have always been huge supporters of women's bodybuilding. Yes. So, you know, I appreciate them. I've been fortunate to be a 2-time Omaha Pro champion at their show, but they're a hoot together. The things that Jack and Ann post, oh my God.
You never know what you're going to get with
Jack.
You
never know, especially with Jack.
I know. And that's why I love them though, you know, because they're so fun to be around. It's like, they are so genuine and they crack me up. I could sit in a room with Jack and Ann and I wouldn't have to say one word and I will be laughing the whole time because of whatever it is that they might be discussing, whatever story that Jack's telling about his past. You know, they're great people and they do a lot for the industry. And, you know, I'll tell you something that they inspire me so much whenever COVID was going on. And I know a lot of promoters were losing tons and tons of money. And, you know, you have all these athletes that I know were getting frustrated because they're dieting for weeks at a time. And you're going into these shows not knowing if you're even going to be able to compete because it might get canceled. And Jack and Ann, they pushed for these competitors. They were switching venues. I mean, they were making adjustments. And here's the thing, we're going to some of these cities and I'm working alongside Jack and Ann and I can see that they're stressed and they're having like curveballs being thrown at them while they're there at this show, this event, you know, because mandates are changing, new rules are being enforced and they're having to kind of roll with the punches. But I'll tell you, they did a great job and I commend them for that. And they gave athletes a platform to compete on when at that point in time, there's a lot of uncertainty.
They always go above and beyond for the athletes, you know.
Yes.
They do a lot at the shows. People don't really realize the amount of love that they give into these shows, you know.
Yes.
And
a lot of times people don't see like the behind the scenes stuff. So they don't understand truly what they have to go through to like even put on an event, you know?
I don't think Jack gets any sleep that whole entire week going up to the show.
I don't think he does either.
Oh Lord. But, yeah, so other things I want to know. So what else you got going on besides the posing clinics? What other things you got brewing?
So I've got some posing clinics. I'll be working a few events. I plan to compete later on, obviously this year. I'm doing a fun little angel bikini, competition bikini fashion show in March.
I saw that. Tell me about that. What is this fashion show?
I'm so excited about it. I am a little nervous, you know, because I get to get on a runway and strap my stuff in some heels and a bikini. But
so you're going to be a Victoria's Secret model with muscles.
Exactly. Like I'm going to wear wings and everything.
Oh, nice.
You know? But I think it's just a good event that they put on. And there's women there that will be on that stage, and they're all walks of life. So I think it's very inspiring for other women or anybody that's actually.
When you say all walks of life, do you mean like different physique types? Is that what you mean?
Yes. Nice. So you have people that have competed. You have people that maybe haven't competed, but they're thinking about competing. You have different divisions, obviously. So you have something like bikini girls that are competing all the way up to women's physique. So it's really neat to be able to see different women on stage, and they're walking together. It's not a competition, obviously. Right. It's just camaraderie. It's there for a great experience. Angels also having like a posing clinic beforehand. They're giving, just like free goodies, giveaways, that sort of thing. So I think it'll be a really fun experience.
Who's putting this on?
Angel competition bikini.
Oh, this is great. Wow. Is this their first year doing this?
No, I actually think it might be their third or fourth year. And it's in Kansas City, which is where their headquarters is. And I've actually never been to Kansas City, so I'm looking forward to that as well.
See if I can get an invite.
Yeah, I will.
I'll come wearing a trash bag with, some.
No, hey, you look awesome, and I know you're dieting. So
I am trying to diet. I'm trying to get back on the stage in July. So we'll see.
That's so awesome.
It is. It's been 2 years though. It's kind of I liked being behind the scenes, talking to phenomenal athletes like yourself, because I love, for me, my biggest highlight is seeing others be successful. And now when it comes to me, it's like, okay, I got to do the work, but I still want to give to people like you.
Yes.
But anyway, so what is your plan now for the Olympia? You got all this time. You're going to have an off season, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So what's your plan? What do you need? What do you feel you need to improve on? What can we expect?
So I feel like I'm pretty competitive from the front, but from behind is kind of where my weaker area is. And especially, sometimes you don't know how good you are until you stand next to somebody that's better than you. And I know Sarah, her backside is like insane. She looks incredible, and I commend her for that. And it's so funny because I'm like, it's still to this day, I'll go back and I look at photos and I'm like zooming in on Sarah. I'm like, what in the world? How, yeah, it's crazy. But hey, that's what it is. She's obviously the reigning champion for a reason. But in order for me to be competitive with her, especially from the rear, I'm going to have to improve there. So I think just overall, my entire backside could get a little bit wider, a little bit fuller, a little bit thicker, a little bit more muscle on my glutes. And I think I'll be much more competitive with her from behind.
Now, speaking of Sarah Villegas, she flew in on a jet. You flew in on a plane or a jet, right? So look at that. Talk about styling and profiling.
I went into the Olympia. I left and I headed out to Florida about 6 weeks earlier. I have family there, luckily.
Oh, nice.
So I stayed with them. My cousin Billy, he's a pilot. My uncle flies planes as well.
Oh, cool.
So they were just so kind enough to fly me to Orlando there. And it just truly, to be honest, that entire experience, it's going to be hard to top. I mean, it truly is, but I'm looking forward to doing it all over again.
Brooke,
this year.
Can you tell me what your experience when you first walked on that stage, or actually when you saw it, what was going through your mind when you saw the Olympia stage? It was like,
You know, there's a part of me, I was concerned at how unnervous. Can I say that? Unnervous, is that a word? Yeah. How unnervous I was going into the Olympia. I was concerned about that because I'm like, are you just like kind of almost content? Like, do you think you're going to do bad, or do you feel confident? Like I was having a mix of emotions, but my mentality going into the Olympia was, hey, you only get one Olympia. You only get your first Olympia only happens one time, you know? So I'm like, I'm going to go into this and I'm going to enjoy every moment, every single moment. And I stayed true to that. The moment I got to Florida to finish off my Olympia prep, I enjoyed it. The moment that I landed in Orlando and got to the hotel and like started seeing all these other fellow competitors and just being there, I was loving every moment of it. And I was a little bit like nervous as soon as I started to kind of step up on stage. My heart started to pound a little bit. And I just always practice like breathing techniques prior to going on stage, taking deep breaths and kind of telling myself that I can do this and you're deserving. One thing I was concerned about is I've gotten on stage and I haven't been able to like hold a pose, you know, and you never know at that level, the posing, you know, the judges could hold you in poses forever, you know, and sometimes that's brutal. And in Omaha, actually in 2019, I had this crazy situation. It's funny now, but my shoulders were cramping so bad. And on a side tricep, I couldn't hit my side tricep. So I stood to the side and I just put my arm down because I couldn't reach behind my back. Wow. And it was crazy. And they were just posing us over and over again. So after Omaha, I took it upon myself to make sure that I was conditioned for posing, you know? So I was going to be prepped and ready. If they're going to hold us on stage and we're holding each pose for 60 seconds, I'm going to be ready for it. So that's what I did going to the Olympia, because I knew at that point, every girl looks great on stage. You know, all those girls look amazing. They're bringing their A game. They're going to be at their absolute best because they're trying to win, you know? So I knew it would be close. I knew that there might be a lot of posing. So I just wanted to make sure that I was ready for it. And I was, luckily. Obviously, there's still room to improve and you can always get better. But I was very proud of how I handled myself on stage there.
What would you tell a amateur women's physique or any person who wants to compete in the sport? What advice would you give them?
I think something that's huge to me is it's okay to be patient, and slow and steady is typically the route to go. If you want longevity in the sport and if you want to be around in the sport, don't be afraid to take it slow. Progress slowly, be patient, you know? I obviously understand that I think most people want instant gratification. You know, we all do, but at some point you have to be real with yourself and understand that it takes time, right? So you're going to get frustrated. Obviously, I still get frustrated to this day, but continue. Put one foot in front of the other and just be along for the ride. Enjoy every moment of it. If you get to the point where you're not enjoying it, you got to reevaluate some things, because it's a long journey. It's an exhausting journey, but it is the most rewarding journey you will ever experience if you do stick it out. So stick it out, but don't be afraid to be patient.
Okay, I got to ask you 2 more questions. I'm going to leave you alone. Top 5 pet peeves.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Let me tell you. So at the gym, people don't re-rack their weights like all the time. So every morning when I get to the gym, I have a minor meltdown literally every day, because our gym is open 24 hours, right? So after hours, you have people that come in and they don't re-rack anything. So weights are piled everywhere. That's one pet peeve. I also have pet peeves, you know, I love bodybuilding. I love it. But you have those guys that are just your typical kind of meatheads. They're in the gym and they're like flexing, they're pulling up their shirt, showing off their abs, things like that. They're just so consumed with themselves. It's, to me, I can't stand that. Let's see, what else is a pet peeve of mine? Eating food with your mouth open, like smacking.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, that's terrible. Also being on planes and like people kicking your seats, that's awful.
So what do you do when that happens to you? Do you turn around and whoop their ass?
You know, I've only been in that situation where it was really bad and had to say something. And it was actually this past year, and I was on a plane, and I have the worst luck traveling, like ever, the worst luck. Never travel with me. And there's this kid behind me, and he's with his mom, and he is going to town on my seat. And I'm thinking, surely she's going to tell him to stop at any given moment. Right. Well, she kind of does, but it's very delicate and not very serious. So he continues, and I finally turn around because I'm just frustrated. It's been a long trip, and I'm ready to get home, and I'm like, can you please tell him to stop? And they both kind of look at me, and the kid was terrified, but he stopped, so I just common courtesy, sure. And also driving below the speed limit. That's got to top everything.
I love it. I had just a quick story real quick. On the airplane, somebody kicked my seat, and they kept on doing it and grabbing the top of it when they're trying to get up. So you know what I did? I grabbed my neck, and I said, oh, my neck. Trying to just be an ass. But anyway. So the world wants to know, are you single?
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Everybody. So yes, I am single. People ask me that all the time.
You're going to get a bunch of DMs now.
I know, right? Yes, I am single. I've got somebody that's very special to me, and he's been in my life for a long time, so I will give him credit. But if I'm just being honest, it's one of those things. He's so supportive of my competitive career, and we're just in different chapters of our life at this given time. But he's always been my number one supporter. He's been with me since day one on competing, and he still stands by me right now. So, but officially, yes, I am single.
There you go, folks. She's single. Brooke, I'm going to leave it with you. Please give any shout outs to anyone you want, sponsors. Give us some positive whatever. And
some positive reinforcement.
Yes.
You know what? I've said this so many times that I am so grateful because I truly have an army of support. And there's obviously, I think you do have criticism. Who doesn't get criticized from time to time, but something that I've just been truly fortunate with is my 365 Fitness family. They have truly supported me and believed in me since day one, since before I ever did anything that was even worthy of being credited for. They thought that I was going to be this top level trainer. They thought I was going to be this top level athlete long before I ever was. And they took a chance on me. Jack and Ann, they obviously took a chance on me. They've believed in me. I have Granite Supplements. They have believed in me too. John Meadows has a lot to do with that, obviously. John Meadows even has a lot to do with me. I've been with Iron Rebel for years, and John has a lot to do with that. So I have to give John a lot of credit. Ryan and Anthony from 365 Fitness, like I said, they've been my day ones. They've noticed they noticed that I have potential long before maybe I even realized it. So there's so many people that I could thank, and my friends, my family, the list goes on.
Well, listen, I truly think this year could be the year of Brooke Walker at the Olympia.
I hope so.
I really do. Listen, you got a great package, and there's nothing. I'm in awe when I see you on stage, especially through your posing and everything. And again, you have a huge fan base, and so many people think the world of you. So thank you for all you do. Thank you for being you. Keep up the positivity. Keep being the great ambassador that you are of the sport. And I truly appreciate you being on the Fit Rockstar show. And I'm going to get you in my studio soon.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I would love that. Especially,
I want to do some crazy things with you.
Yes, I'm game for it. We have had this terrible ice storm, and I hate the cold. I hate snow. I hate ice. So I'm like, I need to move. Probably.
Yeah.
I know. I'm coming to Arizona where it's hot, But I also wanted to give a shout out to Joe Bear with HG Physiques.
Oh yeah, Joe.
Good old Joe.
Joe's great in his Corvette.
I know that Corvette. I still have yet to get in that thing.
I was going to say, have you done a photo shoot yet with the Corvette?
I know. Well, we're going to do it this year.
Joe's a great guy. Joe, I've known Joe a long time, and he's a good photographer. He's good at what he does, and a great saxophone player.
Oh my gosh! You know what? He never ceases to amaze me. Joe is a encyclopedia of knowledge.
He is. Brooke, it's a pleasure having you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, there we have it. The superstar, the top Olympian, the All-American girl, Brooke Walker.